Side Scrollers is brought to you by you. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/sidescrollers. It's time for Side Scrollers on YouTube.com with me, Stuttering Craig. I like movies that have sand in them. Wow.
He doesn't like it in his mouth.
And producer extraordinaire, Travis Key.
I don't like the texture in my mouth.
What? And brought to you by you, the G2 community at patreon.com/sidescrollers. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on planet Earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and Twitch.tv. For how long, we just don't know because we're not signing your terms of service, Twitch. We're not signing it. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Labor Day to you. All y'all hanging out in the good old United States, the old nifty 50. Glad you guys have joined us. It is Monday. We're going to have a great show. Man, I got to be honest. I was telling everybody, I legitimately had a hard time sleeping last night because I was so excited for today's show. Very, very excited. Listen, joining us as always, producer extraordinaire is Travis Keys. Hello, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing great. Today is a good morning. Should be a great show.
Oh, it's going to be really, really good. Speaking of being a great show, Blabs is not with us today.
That's why it's going to be great.
Which makes it even better, which is awesome. But I'll tell you who is. It's Dan Vask. Hello, Dan.
Hello. What is up, guys? Glad to be here once again.
You're making the rounds this morning, buddy.
Oh, apparently. Yeah.
Hey, man. Glad you hanging out with us today, buddy. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one. Also joining us today, we go from one stellar musician to another stellar musician. We have Miss Desiree Wright. Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing great.
Hey, we're gonna have a good day. I'm really excited. I love that we have more musical talent on the bottom of our screen than we've ever had before. Adam thinks he's a musician, but man, I'll tell you what, you guys put him to shame. It's ridiculous.
Well, that is rude, Craig.
What? Listen, all Adam does is tap me.
Hey, I was talking for myself, not Adam.
Okay.
No, I refer to myself as a shitty musician.
Oh, man. Adam's not even here to defend himself.
That's the best part about it.
That's the best part.
Oh, man. Desiree, tell everybody where they can find you because you've been doing some daily streams, right?
Yeah, I am trying to get my Kick channel going. So I'm on Kick, Lady Desiree, not Lady Desire.
No.
I get that mistake all the time.
A totally different type of channel.
And totally. That's definitely like a hot tub kind of stream. That's not my vibe. And actually, I'm also restreaming to YouTube. I actually have a YouTube as well. I'm trying to get my watch hours up on YouTube. So your viewers might find YouTube more accessible since they're watching over here now. So my YouTube is Desiree. What is it? Lady Desiree Piano.
All right. Nice. I saw, by the way, I saw your tweet last night about your dad did the fight song for Florida State.
Yeah, my father was actually, he composed a lot. He was an extremely talented pianist. So Gershwin was his specialty. He was a concert pianist and came to Florida State years ago. I wrote the FSU fight song, so that's kind of his claim to fame. But I mean, he's written a lot of stuff. But being in Tallahassee he was like treated like royalty. It was really fun while he was alive here. And he was a professor for many years. He was an amazing person. So actually it's kind of cool because that's what started my YouTube channel was we were going to the national championship and I thought it'd be fun to do a duet of the fight song and put up on YouTube. And so that was actually my very first, I wasn't looking to start a YouTube channel, but I was just posted it there. And it's kind of neat that started with that video. And he actually passed away a few months after we made that video. So it's become pretty precious to me.
For sure. I'll tell you what, it's I've done a few streams with my dad playing like Mario and stuff, and those are the most special streams I've done have been with my dad. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
anytime you get a chance to hang out with your family, it's the best. But Dan doesn't have any family to hang out with, so
That's right. I was born out of I was conceived by the Holy Spirit, just sprang out from earth, and here I am.
Love it. Hey, speaking of Dan, we got to. Have you thought about your next challenge for me for the Retro Gaming Police?
Yeah, you gotta send me that list that you were talking about.
Oh, that's true. I do got to put together a list. That's right. That's my fault.
But hey, something that crossed my mind. Are you familiar with the original Zelda?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think you can beat it in one sitting?
Can I die?
You can die. You can use a walkthrough.
Yes, of course I can beat it. Of course. Why could I not?
Sure.
Dan, come on. That's
okay. So that might be too easy.
That's big. Listen, that's baby toy. That's a baby toy thing right there.
That might be too easy.
Okay. Well, you just think about it. You think about it a little bit.
Maybe without a sword.
No, I can't do that.
I mean, you could have him do it without the magic sword and just use the master sword, but you can.
Wooden sword. There you go.
Horrible idea.
That would be a
wooden
lot
sword.
of hits,
that's why it's good, because you think it's horrible. Wooden sword run of original Zelda. Chat.
It would make you utilize other weapons more, for sure.
You can use other weapons, sure, bombs and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Everything else will work if you don't use the master sword or magic sword.
People have done it without the sword at all.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they use the wand and stuff and bombs and arrows.
I think you can do it with a wooden sword.
Yeah, well, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to remind you guys, if you guys are watching over on Rumble, hit the follow button. We are closing in on 3,000 follows over on Rumble, which all organic, less than 80. Well, just a few away. So make sure you guys hit the follow button over there on Rumble. Really, really appreciate that. And of course, the thumbs up button, because we're growing every single day, which is awesome. And we have a Twitter account at SidescrollerPod over there, which is great, and a Rumble and an Instagram, right, Blabs? Oh wait, we'll get an update from Blabs in a little bit. Blabs has sent over a video. Speaking of where she's currently at in her travels on her way down to Australia. Would you guys like to see Blabs journalism at its finest?
Oh, let's see it.
Okay, Blabs is currently in Qatar on her way to Australia. So here she is. This is the most Blabs thing ever.
I don't know what that is.
It's clearly a giant peep.
That's kind of creepy.
A bear peep. Duh.
This looks like one.
Well, thanks, Blabs. Appreciate you. Way to go.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? It looked like a giant Pikachu bear.
I don't know. It's just a bear with a light in the middle of its head. Coming up on Thursday, we'll be doing a one-on-one interview. I guess I'll be doing a one-on-one interview with Salty Cracker, which will be really, really fun. And next Thursday, one-on-one with Razor Fist. So Thursdays, we're going to try to make those our interview days. Dan, I feel like I should do a one-on-one with you sometime. That'd be great.
Yeah, we never actually done it.
That'd be good. I start peeling back the Dan Vask onion.
Yes.
We'll get to know you a little bit more, which would be great.
Eventually, you'll have one-on-one to a bunch of guys.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Trev. Lord. Coming up later today on the Side Scrollers Plays channel, I'll be playing some Mario. I think we're going to do Mario Monday, which will be great. So I'll be doing some Mario games a little bit later on. And tomorrow,
which ones?
I don't know. What would you like me to play today, Dan? You get to pick.
I get to pick? Mm-hmm. Oh, Mario Sunshine.
Shut up. No. God.
How about trying to speed run Mario World?
Mario World?
But you have to try to speed run it.
I think I could do that. I don't know. Mondays are going to be Mario days. I know that for sure. So we'll figure. We got a lot to figure out before the end of the show, which is great. You guys have been really great this morning with super chats and direct donations. I'll get to those in just a little bit. So once again, please head over to the Side Scrollers Plays and subscribe over there if you guys like the gameplay and stuff. Megan came in with the $4.99. Says, Dan, congratulations on your promotion from Retro Gaming Police to Agent of Chaos. Okay, now hold on, Megan. I have serious issues with this because I am the Agent of Chaos. That is literally my title, and it has been for years. Correct, Travis? Right? I am the Agent of Chaos. Dan, you are not allowed to be the Agent of Chaos. I am the Agent of Chaos.
So just
It's not my fault.
Change the moniker. You're not an agent. You're the president. You're the prime minister. You're the whatever.
Emperor.
There you go.
Figure it out.
Lord of Chaos. There you go.
And Megan says, Greg, Side Scrollers is my new favorite show to watch. Let's go. Thank you so much, Megan.
Cool.
Appreciate it. Do us a favor.
Thank you, Megan.
Let people know. Let people know what we got going on over here. What was that? That was awesome.
Sorry, that was one of my dogs.
Oh, it was a dog?
Yeah.
I thought it was, I just heard like, yeah, in the background.
Yeah, I thought it was a kid too.
Winterfell came into the 199, says, happy Labor Day, legends. Let's go. Thank you.
Happy Labor Day.
And Devin came in, says, good morning, Team Az and Dan all day. Thank you, Devin. Appreciate that. That is excellent. We're going to get into that story in just a minute. And Cajun Corey, came in with the 199. Says, what's pooping, Dan and panel?
What's pooping, Cajun Corey? Cajun Corey won't forget about this. This day, the other day, like months ago already, someone said, hey, what's popping? I was like, what? What's pooping? Sorry. I'm not American.
No, that's
it's
usually
running around with that.
We don't really walk in and say, hey, what's pooping today?
What's pooping?
Hey, give it up for Keely came in as a brand new member. That's one. Our goal today, as always, is 20 new members every single stream. That puts us at one today. Let's see if we can get to that 20 membership goal for the day. That'd be outstanding, Keely. And Anna also came in, says, good morning. You guys are awesome. Anna, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your support. Those super chats are massive, and we genuinely appreciate them. Henry, who gave us an update, who is letting us know that Henry's girl was going in for a surgery, came in with the $25 direct donation. Says, surgery went well. Thanks for all the well wishes, Crag and the G2s. Henry, it's amazing to hear. I'm glad things went well, and glad your girl is healthy. It's excellent stuff. And Snow came in with the 10. Says, big ups, fellow boomers. How did you manage to get Count Dracula Warrior on the podcast? Keep up the good work, Travis. Keep your chin up. It's interesting to hear your take. I saw the Star Game and DSP's channel. Apparently it sucks and he needs money. Okay. All right. Sounds good. I've not kept up with the DSP stuff, but I'll tell you what I have.
Who is the Count Dracula Warrior?
I'm guessing it's you, Dan, because you kind of look.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's me.
Maybe it's Travis. I don't know.
And Keely, thank you again for that level 2 membership. That is spectacular. All right, let's get into it. This is what everybody's really excited about. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for hard news. Thank you, Adam. All right, Dan, you broke the internet this weekend. You've been making the rounds talking about this. Your tweet currently has almost 12 million impressions on it.
Wow.
And that's the second tweet, by the way. That's only the second tweet to go viral.
The second one, what was the first one?
There was a first one. Yes, that's kind of what initiated the shitstorm.
Okay.
It was a tweet Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Where I simply stated that I was refunding Starfield because I don't like fucking wokeness dragging me out of my favorite games from my favorite companies and ruining my immersion on games. That's it. I didn't say what it was. I didn't say any specifics, but that tweet was racial to hell. And
your tweet, your initial tweet was
the first one. Yeah, it was racial. A lot of people shared it, but a lot of people agreed with it too. And I felt the need to talk about that because I I don't usually talk about controversial topics. I'm usually pretty chill on Twitter, except the usual shit talking once in a while,
Right.
like everybody does. But I'm not going deep into a lot of controversial topics because I feel there's enough great voices already making a fantastic job about that. But I noticed that no one was talking about the Starfield thing, and I only saw one tweet after me, like Nina talking about the same stuff, and that Nina Infinity, she also refunded the game and she also got shit for it. But then I decided to talk about it because Bethesda game is one of the few passionate subjects to me that I'm willing to get out there and talk about. And
Okay.
there isn't many of those around, so I decided to talk about it.
Okay, so I don't know anything about Starfield outside of that. It was a very highly anticipated game. It's a Microsoft game. I don't even know if I've seen a trailer for Starfield, right? But I know that there's a lot of hype around this game, and it was coming out. This is space exploration game. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Do you know? Are you familiar with Bethesda in general? Other Bethesda games?
Of course.
You played Skyrim.
Yes.
Fallout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So, okay. And so you put a tweet out. You said, I'm kind of tired of this. I'm going to refund it because I don't want to deal with the wokeness. What exactly is woke in the game?
Yeah. First, I would like to tell you my general context from a gaming perspective, so you know where I'm coming from with this opinion first, by first giving you the context. I mostly am a retro gamer, as you can see, specifically PC stuff and Nintendo stuff. As you can see here, I have a bunch of old school PC games here, a bunch of Super Nintendo games here, because I love retro games. So I'm mostly a retro gamer, so I'm not too familiar with the current trends of new games in the Western industry of gaming at all. Most of the new games that I play are mostly games from Japan companies. The new ones that I still enjoy playing are mostly Nintendo games, From Software games, Souls games, that sort of stuff, because they remind me of the retro times. Or they are more similar to the games of yore, if you will. So I'm not very up to speed with the current trends of the Western gaming industry, but I was willing to give Starfield a chance because Oblivion and Skyrim were one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, when Oblivion first came out back in the 2000s, it was like a dream. I was playing that game and I couldn't believe a game like that couldn't exist. And I just got lost in that world. And it was the best thing ever. So I was willing to give Starfield a chance because of that passion I have for previous Bethesda games that were very important to me. And so I got the special version that allows you to play before the release date, right? And you have to pay more for that. You have to pay premium for that. A thing that I never do. I never pre-order games, never buy premium versions, that sort of stuff. But I did that with Starfield because I was very excited. So I was playing it, and sure enough, was greeted by the common start of any Bethesda game. Like, you're kind of a nobody, and you have to make your way through being somebody while being caught in the lore of the game and the story. And you are greeted after some time playing, maybe 10 minutes playing, with a character creation tool. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm told this has been fairly common among modern games for the past couple of years. It's a character tool that pretty much bends backwards to try to avoid any sort of mention to gender, sex, or like male and female, man and woman. Like, you can tell the character tool is bending backwards to not mention that. You have, for example, two clear options of body type that are clearly a male body type and a female body type, but no, it's option 1, option 2.
Oh, so they don't actually say male or female. It's just like whatever. Okay.
creation tool. So I was like, okay, this is it's kind of, it reminds me that I'm not in this fantastic world. I'm not in this imaginary land and universe where I can get lost. I'm in 2023. I'm in 23. So that's already kind of breaks the immersion a little bit, because I can tell, okay, it's appealing to modern sensibilities. So this is already kind of off-putting, but
See,
I was willing to continue after that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I actually would argue that the idea of like modern, this is okay. People ask like why we would talk about this. They say you're, because this is like a political. People see this as a political thing, right? And this is the number one story about the number one game in the video game industry, right? So naturally, we're going to talk about this. But here's my issue with all these people who are getting on their high horse about pronouns or whatever social issue it is. If you never up until 2020, if you didn't even know what a personal pronoun was, or you didn't have, a sign in your front yard for whatever, pick whatever social issue you want to pick, up until 2020, like, I can't take you seriously, right? And this is something that you see it creeping into the gaming space, right? Like in 2000, find me a game in 2019, find me a game in, even 5 years ago that had this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were games that had this, but I think there's definitely been creep with all this stuff, and it's catering to such a small percentage of people that we can't even acknowledge that there's boys and girls in video games. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry.
Are you a boy or a girl from the Pokemon games? Remember?
Which I think is a totally different. People, like, I saw a tweet that was saying, "Oh, this gender stuff's getting out of control," and it was Pokemon. That's totally different thing, right? Are you a boy or a girl? But whatever.
Yeah, I agree completely. And Ass came up with a great expression. I don't know if he came up with it, but he said it. You are current dating us. You are taking me out of the game and reminding me I'm not in there. I'm in 2023 in a Western country. So it sucks every drop of immersion out of the game and reminds me that, it's current day in 2023 in the West. So but after that, I was willing to continue. I was willing to overlook that, and it's okay if people are not. It's okay if people draw the line there, but people have different thresholds to things they don't enjoy, which is completely fine. This is not a knock also on people who are choosing to enjoy the game and overlook those things. By no means. You do what you want. But then after that, after the character creation, when you finish creating your character, then it was the thing where I draw the hard line on, which is what, like, it gives you a forced choice of pronouns. It gives you an assumed pronoun based on the character you created. Oh, your character looks like a guy, so it assigns you kind of a standard option for a he him. But it's like, choose your pronouns, and you can be a he him, she her, or a they them. So after I saw that, I was like, okay, now I lost my trust in this company on their objective to entertaining me. They're not necessarily worried about entertaining me. They're worried about catering to a very specific political group that would that would complain and basically murder them on Twitter if they didn't have that stuff in there. That they are trying to cater to that specific group as a priority to entertaining me. So that's where I draw the hard line.
I see this slightly different. They're literally doing the thing that trans people would be upset about. They're assigning somebody a gender. You know what I'm saying? They're
No,
assuming the gender of a character.
I say assigning more like this is the first option that they give you.
No, what I'm saying is you get to pick your gender in the game, correct? Or what you want to be called, right? And before that, there's a gender that's assumed by the character that you choose, correct?
Yeah,
isn't that assuming gender? Isn't that literally what is complained about all the time?
Maybe I used the wrong word. It's not really assuming. We can get to a stream of the game so you can see it's exactly what it is. It's simply the first option that shows up. The first option that shows up is the one like what you look like.
But
you have the option.
If that is the first option, isn't that then assuming it? That's going to be your choice.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying.
Does the game assign it to you, or do you get to pick?
You get to pick.
Okay, so
it's simply the first option that shows up in the slider.
The most important option, of course.
Well, that's the option they assume you will choose, and that is assuming gender. That is the definition of assuming gender. They give you a list and say, this is the one you're probably going to choose, so here it is first.
I see what you're saying. I see. We can check even as stream so we can see exactly what it is.
They could have made it a round wheel, right? And had all the different ones, and so they're all equal. But they didn't do that. They made a list.
Well,
right. I see what you're saying.
And to be clear, Dan, there's only 3 choices: he, him, she, her, they, them.
3 choices.
But what about all the other ones? What about all the
other 59?
Yeah, as Krebs says, what about Z, Zer?
Exactly. Right? But yeah, that's where I draw the line, and it broke all of my immersion. And it's okay if people went with that. It's like, fine, I'll just ignore it and keep having fun with the game. Fine. People have different thresholds. It's okay. This is not a knock on those people. Az is still streaming the game. So it's completely fine. But to me personally, it broke all of the immersion. It's like I lost confidence in the game. I lost confidence in the goal of the game to entertain me. It put it in check my belief that this game wants me to have a good time above all. It put that belief in check, and so I refunded it.
Desiree, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I understand your perspective. I mean, I've read some of the tweets and the responses. I understand how some people can see it as not a big deal, but I think what you said, people have different thresholds, is 100% dead on. And, I think to many of us who see this problem with gender dysphoria just really permeating society right now and really being encouraged, it speaks to a larger issue, and so it's like some of us have higher or lower, I should say, triggers to reactions to this stuff, and so where I have children and I know what they are being bombarded with right now in schools. And I mean, I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm not like in Portland or something. I'm just in a regular old, city here. So, I just know how trendy all this has become. And the problem with it being so trendy is that it can lead to long-term consequences if you are pushing this stuff too early on children. If they do hormones, if they do sex changes, stuff, this is stuff that's going to affect their lives. So a lot of times, like for me, my mind goes all the way to there. So it's like, why put something in a game that could be influencing, children or teenagers if it, it just seems very unnecessary. So I guess I completely understand that reaction to that is what I'm getting at. I also understand how some people don't see it as a big deal and they can just put it aside and just enjoy the game, and compartmentalize. Like I can 100% see both sides to that. And I don't really fault either person for having a different reaction to it. But I do wish that games would just keep stuff out. I understand feeling like it does pull you out of the world.
I see a few different things with this when I look at it from the outside, because I haven't played the game or nothing, and I don't really care. I'm not going to play the game. It looks beautiful. I've seen a few people play snippets of it, and it looks visually appealing, but it's like they're forcing you to live this thing so that you can get a perspective of somebody, and maybe you don't want to do that. So, and by making you choose a preferred pronoun and then your parents' pronoun or whatever it is, they're basically saying in this game you're going to deal with being mislabeled, right? Or something of that nature, right? So you have to deal with this issue or face it or whatever. It's going to be in the game. It's going to be relevant. And I think that's where my issue is. You're forcing people who in life have never had to deal with this issue to deal with that issue, and it's under the guise of a specific game. Now, if they were upfront about that, like, look, we're going to address these issues in our game and it's going to be part of the game, that's okay. But when people are unaware of that and they buy your game and that's a main part of the story, that you have to face this, whatever it is in the game, I think that's where the issue is.
So I'm looking at the chat, and as Serial the Black Dragon points out, says it's an M-rated game. Children shouldn't be playing through it, though. I understand that, and it is an M-rated game. It is 17 plus, but there's a lot of questions I have for you, Serial, and just based off of you have a trans flag behind your avatar, right? That's cool, whatever. I don't judge, right? You do what you want to do, but if you don't feel like a 17 and under kid should be playing Starfield, right? How do you feel about these other things that are being popped in that go along with, that more or less, it goes back to the idea of like this funnel, right? It starts here and it works their way down, as Desiree was saying, to where there's ultimately real life long-term consequences attached to this. If you're saying, hey, children shouldn't be playing this game, it's rated M for mature, then how can you possibly say, hey, children can make decisions that will alter their life forever? I don't understand how you.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, it speaks to a large issue that we see. And yeah, I understand that it's not meant for children, so I understand that argument. But it's something that is being pushed everywhere right now. And a couple of years ago, the percentage of actual trans was so small. I mean, are they representing? Is there an option where a character can be in a wheelchair for anybody who plays the game who's in a wheelchair? I mean, like there's it's just exploded.
Well,
and it's become so trendy, and this is not a trend where you are dyeing your hair, crazy colors or black or wearing eyeliner or whatever. You can wash it off and dye it back. This is stuff that can really, really affect your entire life. And we're seeing so many stories come out now with detransitioners and the hell that you are having to go through. So for those of us that are aware of all of that, and I don't think that a lot of people are aware of that too, and that's a big problem. I don't think most people are really keyed into the problems of this just being pushed on teenager or even young people just too early. So for those of that are seeing, like, why are we encouraging this? And that's what it feels like. It feels like it's encouraging that,
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the whole diversity game, you can play that game infinitely. So like, where's the option for the wheelchair guy?
Yeah,
where's the option for the little person?
It's right. Like, why do you get to choose your sexuality? Why are they putting gay people out now? Why can't you choose lesbian or gay?
Yeah, so focusing on one aspect of diversity, it really puts in check your claim to be, it's just because of diversity. It's not because of any political ideology or agenda. It's just because of diversity. Well, what about those other diverse options that should be there and are not? So yeah, it's a game that can be played endlessly, but but it's impractical to play that game endlessly, because you end up landing on the individual. Where's the representation for the for the albino little person who is trans and Mexican. Like, you can keep adding stuff to that until you end up in the conclusion that every individual is different.
Yeah, this
which
goes,
already negates the diversity group thinking identity politics game by itself.
yeah, this goes back to the point I made and why I said when you add this in there and only this, and I have my own opinions on things, but I'm not going to state them here. But if you add only this, you're forcing people to have that story element in it. Like I said, you're not asking people if they're gay or lesbian. You're not asking them if they're a short person or in a wheelchair or if they want to be blind. So there's this story element that's being forced upon people that they didn't know about when they bought the game. And if you want to be for some sort of social justice thing, tell people that and say, hey, like we have, this is a gay love story like Brokeback Mountain did, or this is, you know, a trans rights game or whatever, that we want to put you in this story so you know about it. But when they don't tell you about that up front and it's a major element of the game, that's when it becomes an issue.
Let's go ahead and actually get to the video that has kind of popped all this off. We've talked about this for 20 minutes.
Then just for the benefit of the people at home, then what happened is that someone in my comments from the first tweet that I sent said that, hey, you're not the only one thinking this. Az had a great rant on his stream. So I went to that stream, found the rant, and was like, Az, if do you want to pull up my latest tweet?
Yeah.
That I sent Az a DM. I was like, hey, man, you can pull up the tweet and we can read it. Yeah, I sent that tweet to Az on a Saturday. Hey, dude, mind if I screen grab your epic rant about the Starfield woke shit and post it on Twitter? Might bring you some heat, though.
Just a little.
And it was like understatement of the year. And he was like, sure, man, go ahead.
Well, here's where we got to, because he posted this, and you can see it's at 11.4 million impressions, right? Which that's a lot, right? And by the way, that's not including chuds of TikTok who also posted it with another 6.5 million impressions.
Oh yeah.
So
no, there's people on actual TikTok, like it's going viral in there too. Right. This is I mean, this is a hot button issue in the gaming space, and some people think it's overblown. Some people think that it's not. But I think it's important to hear kind of all perspective on this. By the way, guys, appreciate you guys popping in. You guys coming in from the Geeks and Gamers daily stream. Welcome on in, everybody. We'd love for you guys to stick around and come be a part of the conversation on a day-to-day basis. As once again, give it up for Fresh Pony, who came in as a brand new member. That's 2 members today. Let's freaking go! Thank you so much, Fresh Pony, the level 2 membership. Let's go check this out really quick. This is the and we'll stop and start as we see fit. Dan, and I know you watch this about 7 quadrillion times, but we'll continue. Yes,
because I think it's important. So let's get this going.
I just want to say something to you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Fuck that. Bethesda. There is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG. Lose myself, think, oh my God, just think of this world. Just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity!
By the way, I'm going to take him going, fucking pronouns, and make it a soundbite for this show.
Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
I want to stop right there for a second. Okay, there's a few things he said in there, which I think there's a lot of what he said in a very little amount of time. He mentioned, the California Day shit, right? And I can only assume that he's talking about just these bubbles that these companies are in, right? The game development bubbles of like, hey,
Exactly.
we're in San Francisco, we're in LA, right? And this is how it is in our tiny little bubble. But when you look out the rest of the world, nobody gives a shit about this stuff. Like literally nobody gives a shit about it, which ultimately becomes a larger issue. And the idea of it being boring, right? Like if your pronouns are that important to you, and that is the top thing on your list about how someone identifies you, you're fucking boring. Like if that's all you have going for you, like that's it. You're boring as shit. And I hate to break that to you. But
That's your identity. That's the whole where the whole thing where your identity revolves around. So yeah, exactly. The person has nothing else going.
I think it's one of these things like when gay people first come out, they get very, very gay, and I'm and I don't know how else to put that for a little while, and then as it goes away after some time. It's you're still proud to be who you are and all that, but you aren't like wearing 68 rainbow fucking things, a necklace, earrings, fucking bracelets, and all that. My belt buckle and all that.
It's like that teenager that first discovers heavy metal.
Yeah.
Like for 1 year, he's
Right.
all in black, 24. Yeah, I get it. I get it completely.
And it's
Right.
one of them things I think that trans people want acceptance, but to demand acceptance and force random people to give you acceptance is where the issue comes in, because nobody owes you respect. And I think that's the problem, is when people feel like you're demanding you respect them, that's automatically going to put people off, and people are going to purposely not respect you because of that.
So, to kind of continue your point, right? I was at the mall this weekend. I had a daddy-daughter day with my daughters. I took them out and they're like, hey, we want to go to the makeup store, right? Now, my daughters are, they're young, but so we don't really do makeup. It's just kind of like this fun thing that they'll do, for 20 minutes and then they take it off because I don't think they need makeup, right? And they don't need makeup. They're young, they're beautiful, they're cute, right? But the idea of it is it's like this fun thing, right? It's just this fun thing to do. So we went into this makeup store, and they're looking at their brushes or whatever. And there's a young person who walks in, and they literally have like, probably 16 years old, 16, maybe 17 years old, have a giant like trans flag on their chest, right? And it's like, here it is. And it kind of puts through the idea of what you're saying, right? When you first find heavy metal, it's like, yeah, fucking heavy metal. If you first come out, I'm super gay. And that's the thing that I think that we're seeing right now is everybody is this is how you identify. So you literally want to say it with your chest and get it out there and let people know that. And it just comes off as like over the top. And
well, I get the reaction too, because like I'll speak for myself, being in the closet so long, when you're finally out or when you finally can be trans or whatever, you finally feel free, right? So you want to be like, I'm free, and be happy about it and tell everybody. But it's not that. That's where I think it gets a little confused. Everybody else doesn't care. It's not
Right.
that big a deal to everybody else.
And
Desiree?
I think, the anger and the intensity in that rant, that's can be off-putting to some people when it's just that in your face. But I do understand. I understand that intensity, because if it was just, like I said, if it was just a visual thing and you could dye your hair back or whatever, but the fact that kids are able to, in some countries, buy hormones right now behind their parents' backs, which is happening. Like, literally know someone who has a daughter, and this is a problem over in the UK. The fact that like kids are doing stuff to their bodies that is going to have lasting effects. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. And so it's like, I understand that frustration, because it's leading to so many really scary things. And I mean, even like, not to get too personal, I have to kind of be careful how I word this, but you know, I've been involved in like this epic custody battle the last couple years, and part of my problem that I've had is I feel like there's a real reaction now to even from actually the other side of the political spectrum, where now it's like, well, kids should have no voice because look at how crazy kids are being. So it's like there's a lot of problems right now that this is really kind of extended to. And you know, I've saw some responses to that rant on Twitter of people that I've known, like from the Destiny community and stuff over the years, really kind people. And you know, one thing that I really feel very, very strongly is that compassion has just been weaponized over the last several years. And so these really kind, compassionate people are saying, I don't know what the big deal is, you know, like this is representing a small percentage of people and they feel seen and they feel heard. And, you know, that's a great thing. And I know where their mind's at. Like that is a wonderful thought, yes, to make people feel good. But the reason why you're seeing a reaction like this is because so many of us have seen the really awful side of this, you know, and I think people who have young children or who don't have children at all are completely clueless.
The way I look at all this culture stuff as it comes to gaming and entertainment and everything else associated with is one of the biggest, the best metaphor I can give is, let's just say Mormons walk up to your house and they knock on your door, right? I think Mormon, because that's what we see down here in Texas. You see Mormons walk up to your house and they knock on your door and they say, hey, can I share with you the word of Christ or whatever it may be, right? And you say, no, thank you, I'm good. And then they turn and they walk away and they go to the next house, right? What happens? What would happen if 5 minutes later they walk back up and they said, hi, can I share with you the word of Christ? You'd be like, no, thank you. You were just here. You can go. And then what happens when 10 minutes later they show up again and they say, hey, can I share with you the word of Christ? It'd get really fucking annoying, right? That's kind of what it feels like just with all this stuff. It's just it's a constant bombardment of people knocking at your door, showing up in your video games, showing up in your entertainment. That's the best metaphor that I can give, right? Is that
Well, you're seeing the breaking point now. Like you're seeing people rant about this because people have been dealing with it already for a while, you know, and you just get fed up and it's just like, well, talking about this nicely isn't going anywhere. So how about I rant about it? So, I mean, I think like that's like, I understand how that happens. I don't think this is some crazy person. I think this is a person reacting to a real, you know, very serious issue that is at hand in society, and it's hard to see it.
Let's go ahead and
encouraged.
Yeah, I also think that everything doesn't have to be outrage, right? So, meaning like if you're a trans person and you're out and somebody accidentally says he and you want to be referred to as a she, they didn't do that on purpose. There was no intent to hurt you. Just say, hey, you know, I like to be referred to as this. And if they respect you and you're nice to them, they may do that. They may not, though, you know, and that's the person you don't want to be around. There are people who call me a fag all the time. I don't want to be around those people if they call me that in a mean way. I just stay away from them.
Right. Let's go to continue this because there's another minute or so. Let's kind of get to the response of it, as well as I saw a really well articulated, logical response to this, which I want to read. I'll get to that in just a minute.
We can't see past our own fucking reflection. That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Fuck your immersion. Fuck you having a good time. Fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no. Current fucking day. Fuck off. You're boring. You're fucking dull. You have nothing to say. You are a one-hived mind twat waffle.
Once again, could you imagine this exact response to someone going off on somebody walking up about religion.
Yeah,
It would probably be applauded, right?
exactly.
Those fucking people walking up to my door, they're annoying as shit, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you said it, right? Continue.
That's all you fucking are. And you wonder why people are getting so fucking sick and tired. You take everything we love, all our emotions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit, fucking crap ideology into everything, every single solitary fucking thing.
Well, can we pause it for a second?
Mhm.
And to what you said, Craig, it's even worse than them coming to your door because they hid it in something you want to buy. They didn't tell you about it ahead of time.
You can't
like-
say no.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it was, they wanted it to be a game that taught you the perspective of trans people to teach you a lesson, be upfront about that and say that's what this is.
Yeah, this is clearly a man that has been bombarded with that stuff for the past decade, and it's fed up with it. And people are trying to distort this and gaslight. Whoa, this was this reaction just for the pronoun stuff. It's like, as Craig said, this is like being constantly, like a Jehovah Witness, constantly knocking on your door every 10 minutes, and that's the likely reaction that every normal person would have under such circumstances.
People have no idea what's going on in his life.
Yeah. Well,
Do you know how many stories? I can't say all this stuff publicly. I wish I could. Do you know how many stories I know of like this stuff affecting children? I know a lot of personal stories, and that's the things I think people are very disconnected right now. If they don't have teenagers, or they aren't actively trying to educate themselves on this stuff. It's like people that have really young children, a lot of times don't know how common this can be, and how it's really messing up some people's lives. So, I mean, I'm reading some of the chat. Like, look, I know this guy is intense and angry right now, but we've all gotten really upset about something that means a lot to us before too. I see someone who probably has some probably history, knows something personal to him too. Also, I will say I completely understand wanting to use video games as a form of escapism. I get so burned out from the world, and like sometimes I just can't even get on Twitter. Like I just love to actually be able to stick my head in the sand and pretend that all this craziness isn't existing, but I can't. So sometimes you do want to have that little time to just be able to escape. And it's like, are you kidding me? My sanctuary, my time to finally escape is now. I can't escape it. And now my mind is back on this subject again. Like I get that.
Perfectly said. Perfectly
Right.
said. That was my entire point on my first tweet. It's like that media should be a sanctuary from that kind of stuff. I go here to forget that I'm living in the current day, not to be reminded of it. And as said, no, here you go. Current day, 2023, pronouns, California.
Well, and
I came here to escape that.
when they put it in a game that you buy and don't tell you up front, and then you have to return it, now what? You've wasted your time, your money's held up. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's dishonest. It's intellectually dishonest. And I think that's the whole issue here is if they were upfront about it, you wouldn't have bought it. But now you wasted your time. You got excited about a game. You got your money tied up in their company for however long the refund takes. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, they've literally bombarded you with a whole bunch of shit you got to deal with.
Let's go and finish this up. Then I want to see some of the responses.
It's over
to it.
already.
Oh well, you can see him seethe.
He's just like.
But I think it's important, right? Because he's taking
Yeah.
a second here to kind of collect
like,
himself.
I feel for him.
Right? He's very clearly angry, right? Very and I would say my biggest critique on this is that he goes back and he plays it, right? That's the biggest issue I have with all this.
I don't blame him. The guy just wants to have fun, and it's like, okay, I'll go past this and keep enjoying the game, but you're gonna hear my opinion about it for sure.
Well, and that shows you he's an actual fan.
Yes.
Well, like Dan said, we all have different thresholds for this stuff, and it's like you can't. If somebody feels like, look, this is just too much, it just, I hate to use the word trigger because I feel like it's overused, but if it really like triggers you and like I just can't, like, this is really upsetting to me, then I understand that. If you feel like you can look past it and still play it, I understand that too. But it is frustrating that it is being just assumed by video games that their population is going to be okay with this. Like that's what's, I think it's frustrating.
So obviously we have you guys in the chat, you guys are very much a part of this conversation. We're monitoring it the entire time. I want to read off some of these super chats. But I found a really precise response that I want to read to you guys in just a minute. But first I want to let you know that GK came into the 100 bits, says, in my opinion, the pronoun question is a political test. It's primarily asked to see if one conforms to another political beliefs. There will be hatred towards people who refuse this, who refuse to answer this. Right.
Well, and the using it as a trap is an issue. Like if somebody accidentally calls you the wrong pronoun because they don't know, you didn't walk up and say, hey, this is my pronoun. So they have to assume your pronoun and then to say, well, you assumed my gender. Yeah. What else was I going to do? You didn't tell me.
Well, the meltdowns that take place because of that are ridiculous. Ileana came in with the $20 super chat, says in certain areas of California, parents can have CPS called them for not allowing their kindergartners to initiate sex change if they happen to say something offhand about wanting to be another gender, right? Like just the idea of a 5 or 6 year old knowing the word gender is asinine to me, let alone the idea of, well,
and this is what I mean, where like, yeah, that's happening in some states. And then in other states, you're seeing complete reaction to that, which has gone the other extreme, which is also unhelpful, which is where kids have no voice.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
so
as Desiree said, you don't let those kids choose what they're going to have for dinner. But somehow they're going to choose, make choices that imply that it's just forever, permanent damage.
Right.
And if kids can't even decide on their sexuality, like kids have a hard time figuring out if they're straight, gay, bisexual, whatever by the time they're 18, how are they going to make a life-changing decision that can't be reversed?
Well, they just feel it, Travis. They just feel it.
Like if you have sex with somebody, like a woman or a man, and then later you decide you're straight, and say you have sex with a man, later you decide you're straight, and you only want to have sex with a woman. That's something you can live with. You know what I'm saying? If you get things removed or whatever, you can't live with that.
And the studies have shown the vast majority of children with gender dysphoria grow out of it.
After puberty,
yeah. Or they might end up being gay or lesbian, but then they've already gone through a sex change.
Ileana says, these things are constantly thrown in our faces, and constant exposure reduces resistance. The more we stand against it now, the fewer, hopefully, will be damaged by this constant exposure. Ileana, thank you very much. Anna came in as a brand new member. That's 3. Thank you, Anna. And so did Molly's mom, came in as a brand new member. That's 4, trying to get to 20 members today. Let's freaking go. Hayden came in. Hayden, great to see you. Says it's important context that this rant took place after several things happened, specifically when he ran into a clone of a man character, I believe.
Yes, Hayden, that was an excellent remark. I believe I didn't watch the whole thing. No, that's right, Hayden. It was after he already had played several hours of the game. After the pronoun stuff, during the pronoun stuff, he was obviously like, oh, damn, this is cringe. But then after a bunch of stuff that was accumulating in the gameplay, he just blew up.
Well, and that's what I meant by there's clearly a mission to this story, right? To make you see or feel the perspective of this person, to react a certain way. They want you to get that out of the story. Be upfront with that then.
Neanderthal came in at the $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Neanderthal, saying Dan is everywhere today. That's right.
I'm omnipresent.
Thank you, Neanderthal. That's incredibly generous. And Mike came in, Says, ever since you guys brought this token gay on this show, I've been sucking 3 dongs a day. My jaw hurts. Please make it stop. Sorry to hear about that, Mike.
Me too.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Wow.
Mark came in, says, can you change your pronouns to beep, boop, beep, bop, boop? Then you get
And
canceled for that.
that's a point that a lot of people have been bringing. Like, you should have the option to not have the option. You should have the option to just not have to deal with that. If they really want inclusivity.
Hayden says, as nobody mentioned that Az said yesterday, and nobody mentioned that Az said yesterday, he used to be one of the I don't care, it's just pronouns people. Let people do what they want, right? And he just kind of hit a wall, which once again, there's a really good response to this. I'm going to read here in just a second. Kyle came in with the $9.99, says, I'll say growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, when someone wasn't interested, you would put do not call and do not show up again. But I think parents will teach them that, but don't medicate them, right?
Right.
And,
but also, I'm pretty sure Jehovah's Witnesses are like Mormons. And if you are in their religion at one point, your name is in their database forever, and they will keep contacting you forever and find your new address and show up and
Can I
all
comment on
that.
that?
yeah, go ahead.
Because I actually grew up Mormon.
So
Side
did
note.
I. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can't ask to have your name removed, but it can. So yeah, I'll have to
My
talk later.
experience has been they showed up in my door once, and I said, hey, no, I'm already a Christian, stuff. They never showed up again.
Yeah. See, I had a different experience, but maybe
Well-
I'm not contacting the right people.
Well, I mean, the reality is Mormons are humans, you
Yeah.
know, so you're
Yeah.
going to find some people that are going to be annoying, some people that are going to be great,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and I'll
in every
say this,
religion.
all elders I've ever met, I've loved. Okay. So they're all wonderful people. I love talking to all of them. I'm just busy. And when you randomly knock at my door, I got shit going on. You know what I mean?
I will
It's
say
a
this.
fantastic parallel. It's a fantastic parallel that Craig made.
Thanks.
Those two situations.
I will say this about Mormons. They are legitimately some of the nicest people I've ever met. Like some of the best people that I know are Mormons, right? But, you know, like, it just goes back to whether it's pick anything, right? If a guy came up to you and said, hey, my favorite color is red, and then you left and you came back, my favorite color is red. Well, pick anything you want, you know, but the religion thing was just came to mind.
Yeah.
Warlock of Legion Cast came in as a brand new member. That's awesome. So did Ileana. Yeah, let's freaking go. And Fernando came back as a member. Says it's just pronouns. Reminds me of. It's just a mask. I'm sick of the gaslighting, and these people can go F themselves.
Yeah, it's gaslighting of the first order, because the same people saying, oh, they're just mad about pronouns. Those are the same people that for the past decade have been pushing that stuff so violently. And those are the same people that want to legislate that shit so it can get arrested for using the wrong pronouns. Those are the same people saying it's just pronouns. No, not even you believe it's just pronouns, because you're willing to throw people in jail for misgendering. So it's clearly not just pronouns, not even for you.
Right.
Well, and if it's
Gaslighting.
If it's just pronouns, do what Dan said. Put the option in the game to play the game without that stuff in it. Because it's just pronouns, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Kyle came in and says, teach them gender ideology, that is. If we infringe on parents teaching them gender ideology, the left will say we're grooming children with religion. Right.
Yeah.
We also
And those pronouns are so important for those people trying to gaslighting us that it's not important. Those pronouns are so important to them that, watch this prediction. This is Nostradamus predicting. A mod will show up
Nostradamus. There you go.
Nostradamus prediction. A mod will show up on Nexus mods to remove that shit. And they will ban that mod and ban that person. Watch for that. Write that down.
We do also have 2 Rumble rants. Diana said it was $2. How about telling game creators how you feel by either playing or not playing a game? Doesn't numbers count? I guess screaming works too. If you're looking to protest, parents protect kids, please. I guess the difference is when they sneak it in. And I think that was my issue, you know. And also, dude 1286 was $1. I've used an analogy of two siblings in the back car seat, and one of them is poking the other constantly, with the parents getting angry at the kid who finally had an outburst about it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Anna said, "This is very concerning. But what is in the background? What is the end goal of targeting kids? This is scary." Thank you, Anna. And who knows? Shifty Eye Ninja also came in with 5 gifted memberships. If you were gifted a membership from Shifty Eye Ninja, make sure you say, thank you. That puts us at 11 new members. We're trying to get to 20 today, so let's get going. As Steiner Math also came in and says, cultish behavior. And just like in a cult, when someone speaks up against it, they must be shamed into thinking like the other sheep. Thank you, Steiner
Well,
Math.
and just keep in context. Let's all remember back when we were young. You float around to different groups of friends. You float around to what types of music you like. You float, you can't make up your mind on what kind of clothes you want to wear from year to year. So like if you can't decide on all that, like making a life-altering decision before you're if their brains aren't fully developed, and we all know that, how can they make a decision that'll affect the rest of their life?
I found this. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
I just want to say, somebody asked in the chat a while ago what studies, when I said there have been studies that show that children will outgrow that, the vast majority. And it's like a very, very high percentage. I don't want to quote it because I don't remember, but I know it's like in the high 90s. I would highly recommend a book. It's called Trans by Helen Joyce. If anybody wants to learn more about the history of transgenderism and just kind of how things have developed recently.
What is the name of the author again?
Helen Joyce.
Didn't she go on Joe Rogan?
She might have been on Rogan. She's been on a lot of stuff. I might be
mistaken. Yeah, but interesting.
All right, so I found a response to this, and I think it's well put. And I don't see Helen Joyce on Joe Rogan, by the way. Just heads up. But this is from the Little Platoon. This is from @Platoon Pod over on Twitter, and I thought this is a really interesting response to everything, and I wanted to kind of read it. It says, "They, them pronouns for known individuals and for yourself are dumb and narcissistic. They have nothing to do with gay rights and no place in any alphabet community. Their prevalence in games like Starfield is evidence of dumb narcissism. They don't matter much in and of themselves, but they're also symptoms of ideological creep. If you find it weird that people are getting angry about pronouns, that too is a symptom of ideology creep. A bizarre political outgrowth, gender proliferation, narcissism as reality has been normalized. It instinctively impolite to object it. It weaponized kindness against reality. That ideology was allowed to creep because one side crammed down on it pretty well, unimpeded in gaming until Hogwarts Legacy rolled out, and they dramatically overplayed their hand. But by that point, they'd already captured every mainstream gaming news site and major studies and major studios. Gaming hasn't had a culture war yet. It's had a culture rout. The reaction to Starfield in this instance isn't so much against pronouns in character creation. It's against the political capture of game creation. Getting angry about they, them pronouns in games, which even I personally can't be bothered with, is best understood as a counterculture position. It's the assumption that since those tactics were so effective in pushing gender ideology, they'll probably be effective against pushing back against it. Fire versus fire, rather than fire versus laughter. The culture war starts. That's debatable. That's a debatable proposition. I think there are bigger and better targets and more effective means, and I don't like that games criticism is now a political slanging match. Then again, the right laughed at Anita Sarkeesian, and look what happened. Big things have small beginnings.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has some truth to it, and it's one of them things. Like if they would have just had an alien character, and they happen to be multi-sex, or they change their sex and their species at a certain point, that would have been a simpler way to address this issue, and not. But when you make a character, you have to make these choices in the game, and you have to live through this story. And it's not just an example or lesson along the way. Like there's a much better way of doing this.
Yeah, and he used an expression really cool that is political capture. Because another type of gaslighting in the counter arguments to this are, oh, people are mad at politics in video games. Well, wait till them see Skyrim, wait till them see Metal Gear Solid, wait till them see Witcher 3. Those are some of my favorite games of all time, and they dwell heavily in politics. But nobody has a problem. Nobody has a problem with politics in games, because politics in games so far have been used in service of the plot, in service of the immersion, and to create a cool story based on issues humanity has debated over and over throughout our history. And it makes the game more believable if those issues are implemented in that game as well. So clearly no one has a problem with politics in games. No one is saying that. What we have a problem with is with political capture. Games being politically captured. When you're not really showing politics in a game, you're trying to send a political message through the game. Those are two completely different things. Nobody's mad about politics in video games. Nobody cares about that.
I think you have a huge point there. Like if you look at Star Wars, the 3 prequels, there were politics heavily laden through that.
Lots of it.
And it did make you think of a lot of reflections on what was going on in our government at the time with the Patriot Act and all that stuff. So, having that some elements in a story that may make you reflect on your past or our past or whatever is different than having a story specifically to make you live this ideology or role.
Trying to send you a message, trying to make you consume an agenda-driven content, an agenda-driven message.
As Sal came in with the $2 direct donation, it says, quote, all games are political. No, stupid. Not all games are not all games are political. People use Metal Gear Solid unironically as an example, as games are all political is stupid. That games are political from the beginning. We're talking about politics in games like Mario, right? He's talking about just the casual game, right?
Yeah, so. Metal Gear Solid is a great example because Hideo Kojima very tastefully implemented some of his political beliefs. For example, Hideo Kojima is heavily anti-nuclear nuclear weapons. And he implemented this in the story of Metal Gear Solid. But the guy was so subtle and so tasteful about it that he also implemented the counter argument to his own point, which is nuclear deterrency. So it's a completely different thing when people bring out Metal Gear Solid. Oh, Metal Gear Solid is political. Well, it is done to the benefit of the plot, and it includes the counter argument to it. It's not trying to shove down our throats Hideo Kojima's personal opinions. It's trying to make us think about it, and then we make up our own minds, and it makes the games fun.
And I think you're right. That's a good distinction, is making a political point versus making you come up with your own political point. You know what I mean? I think that's the distinction.
So the response to this, to his rant, has been really interesting. Real quick, Hayden came in with a little context. There's a clip of moments before the rant where Az accurately predicts what is about to happen when he jokingly says, "What are you, a man?" to a female. Then it played out and the rant begins.
Yeah,
so,
Hayden is referring to you can play that video too if you want.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I can't find it.
Well, I have some questions about the game.
Az's timeline, I think.
If anybody knows, like, was the clone a clone who was born as a woman? You see what I'm saying? So you can be cloned and be cloned into the opposite sex and be a genetic clone, but be the opposite sex. You see what I'm saying? Or did the person's sex change? Because I don't see that as any. I think it's different in my mind. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, but you will see in the clip if Greg finds it. There you go. You will see they make a big deal out of it. They're clearly trying to like make a point behind all of that. You see.
Let's take a look at this real quick.
Listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier.
Yes.
So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there.
You're a dude.
My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance.
Uh-huh.
The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place.
Yeah.
I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy.
So there's the just so I'm on the same page. The NPC that they're talking to is a female facing clone that was a male so is it
Clone of a man.
Right.
A clone of a man. But it's like, I have to tell you something. So there's that huge buildup and that huge big deal about it. That's like how this is not a clear and allegory. It's
that's the
too
funny
on the nose.
That's the funniest part about this. If she was a clone of a man who was cloned into being a woman and she was born a woman, that's something completely different. She's just a clone. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But it's like,
that's not even a trans issue. And they made it into
clone of a man.
Right. They made it into a trans issue, and that's not even a trans issue.
Yeah.
She's not a trans person. She was born as a woman. She was just cloned. She's a clone. That's the issue. Cloning is the real issue.
It's so on the nose. It's so on the nose. It's kind of ridiculous.
I gotta be honest. I think that would just go right over my head if I was playing the game.
No, it's because you're already in that mood to detect that sort of stuff when you're being constantly bombarded by it. You know what I mean? So you start becoming really like keen-eyed to find that sort of stuff because it's so prevalent.
Well, now I'm thinking, what if it wasn't a clone, right? And the mother had twins, and one was a male, one was a female. Would that make them one trans? No. Like, so it's not even a real trans issue that they're using as a trans issue. So it kind of blows my mind in that sense.
I think like the struggle for me a lot of times is like deciding what to put my energy into, like my anger energy, you know, because there is this like, I mean, I can get upset by a lot of stuff that I see all the time, and that's where I don't really fault this guy, because different days I've got different thresholds too. You know, sometimes I'm way more chill, and other times I'm like really quick to feel like I've had enough this craziness. I'm going to rant about it for a minute, you know? So it's a very just normal human thing. Sometimes we get more triggered by other things, but I do find it like as a personal challenge sometimes to decide like, what do I really want to put my energy into? What fight do I really want to fight? And this might not seem like a big fight to a lot of people, but like I said, it seems to speak to a bigger issue, and it's in the and it's hard to see it in all the entertainment industry, and it's hard to see it in games you love. And, you know, so I think a lot of times people have these big reactions because they want a change. And so they're hoping that rally more people to voice their, you know, distaste for this. And hopefully you'll get a change to stop having this so prevalent in entertainment. I don't know if that's right. I don't know, but I understand it.
We have two other Rumble rants from Pepe Payne, both for one for $1. Sup, y'all? It comes down to manipulation of language. Appreciation equals appropriation. Opinion equals authoritarian. Ignorant equals stupid. When you change language, you change culture. Read word magic. Much love. Dude, 1286, $1. What's the politics in Pong?
Right. Someone will find something
Left
in there.
and right.
Yeah, it's left and right. You're right.
Right. Winterfell came in, says base Dan is fire. Dinner Mitts came in with the
Thank
2.
you.
Thank you so much. Says it's like religious ideology with no religion. Right.
Yeah, it's a crippled religion. It's it has the structure of a religion,
Yeah,
without a god.
it's
You know-
weird. Go ahead, Desiree.
I think the religious thing is a cultish comparison is so
Yeah.
on the nose, because just like speaking with kind of what happened with me, where I got the whole debacle with the convention because somebody said I followed Gays Against Groomers and it snowballed and then it couldn't go anymore. It's so interesting to like see, because I'm on Twitter a lot, like still so many people who will not interact with me. A lot of former friends who unfollowed me or blocked me or muted me or whatever, but most people just don't even interact with me. And it's like, I'm like kryptonite. And it's just so funny to see, like, you know, getting all up in arms and feeling so free to get up in arms to bash this guy, you know, to post that on Twitter. But it's like they can't breathe the tiniest bit of support for me when they knew that was bogus. And I was a real life friend. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like they're having lunch with Bethesda tomorrow or whatever. So it's like, it's so strange. And just like, again, side note, it puts me in a weird position because it's like, I don't even know if I should interact with, like, if I don't know if I should respond to one of their tweets because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. And it's just bizarre. I'm like, this is cultish. This is crazy.
If I can speak on that really quick, I have an entire group of friends who refuse to associate or appear on this podcast because we talk about things like this, right? Because they're legitimately scared. And I think what it comes down to is they're not. Travis, lighten up over there.
Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I meant to mute it.
What they've done is they painted themselves into a corner, right? They've been accepting to a fault, to the point to where now if they back out, all of a sudden they're going to seem like a bad friends, right? And they're in this bubble that you know, everything's great, everything's fine, everything whatever, and to the point to where they're more or less lying. They're lying. They don't believe this. I know they don't believe the things that they're touting because I worked with these people for a decade. I've heard them say the most ridiculous things, the most homophobic things, the most racist things that can possibly come out of a mouth. And they're the ones who are trying to prop up their bullshit and try to virtue signal. Oh, I've changed. Bullshit, you've changed. Bullshit. The only thing that's changed is your circumstances, and that you may have, you know, you've told somebody you feel
Their profit motive.
Well, they want to keep their job motive. That's the biggest thing, you know. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Some of the most people that have said some of the most bullshit, horrendous things you could possibly say. You know, they say it privately, but they won't say it publicly, and it's horrendous. It's
A few people come to mind.
Hypocrites, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I actually
well said.
I had a recent experience, and I was gonna bring it up today, but then I decided not to. But it's pertinent to this conversation. I won't say their name, but it was somebody in our community that I was very close with who recently told me that a while ago they asked me to unfollow them because the people were messaging them saying, well, do you see they're anti-trans and all this? And I said, well, first of all, I've never said anything anti-trans in my life. But so I did, and that was okay. And then I got another message from them saying that they're going to have to mute me now because I responded to one tweet because I had seen it. We have mutual friends, right? And I had seen it. So I just said one thing to them. And apparently people were messaging them again saying, do you see how hateful they are and all this? He's anti-trans and all this. And I'm like, I think those people are the bad people.
Yeah,
First of all,
man, catering to those people is so cringe, man. It's
right,
beta behavior.
It's
and they're setting themselves up because I mean, you're gonna now have to with this convention, like, so somebody came after me because they looked at my following list on Twitter. So that means now you're gonna vet every single person that is a part of your convention from here on out and make sure they don't follow anybody you don't like. I mean, it's like when you set those crazy standards, and like I just wish the games would just get out of this. Like, just don't comment on it.
Well, and
easy.
Desiree,
There's no reason to.
Those people they turn themselves into hostages of their own audience. When they don't speak their mind, when they don't when they put on this facade, this mask of a person that they're not, that's all they're doing. They're turning themselves into hostages, and that's going to bite them in the ass later because no one can keep up a mask for too long.
I understand them not wanting to get the messages and all that and be harassed themselves if they're not involved anymore. But it's another thing to let people control your life because they demand you behave a certain way, and not even demand you behave a certain way, demand you not even speak to somebody who they perceive as behaving a certain way.
That's wild. I don't know how people can do that. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm just way too independent, but like, just like talking about that, I feel like someone's stepping on me. Like, I want to be like, get out, get away from me. You know, like, I don't understand it. I hate feeling that.
I
feeling
understand
confined,
people I understand people being afraid of being canceled, and it's like, hey man, I get it, I understand that, but you guys can hear the truck.
You're good. Keep going.
You're right.
I understand the fear. Damn, my street is busy. I understand the fear of being canceled because cancel culture is indeed a horrible thing. People have had their lives destroyed over cancel culture, so I understand the fear. But what those people don't understand is that's precisely the way to be cancel proof. Is to embrace it. Is to be open and speak up. And just speak your mind, and slowly you attract like-minded people. Either one of those two things. Either you attract like-minded people, or you attract people who are tolerant to disagreement. And those are the people you want in your audience. You have everything to gain by speaking your mind.
Yes. No, you are so right. But I will say it is hard. It is hard. It's been hard for me. It's hard to rebuild. You know, and it's tough when you have bills to pay, you know, it's tough, but I mean, I do feel confident that this is the right path for me, and I don't have any regrets, and I'm just trying to be patient, but it's tough. And that's where I feel like this need to protect other people that are going through it too. Cause I understand it. And it's like, even with this guy, I don't really know anything about I'm assuming he's probably a big streamer. I don't know. He's probably going to be fine. But like, it's like I don't like seeing that real knee-jerk reaction to just like, he must be, someone said in chat even, like, he must beat his kids. It's like, really? Just because he got really angry and went on a rant,
Yes, that's even hard to take seriously. I don't even get offended by that sort of reaction because it's just hard to take seriously.
But but you don't take it seriously, but other people do, because I mean, like, I'm proof of that happening. Some random person I didn't even know said I was transphobic. I never said anything transphobic in my life on Twitter. It was just for following an account.
Yeah,
and that was enough to really hurt me a lot, like financially.
It's probably with me, it's probably a little bit easier than for you, Desiree, because I've been a horrible person all my life.
Well, there's something to be said about starting your brand that way, and that's and I did not start my brand that way.
But I'm kind of an asshole online. It's kind of my persona. So
you've never been an asshole. You kidding
really?
Me? Yeah, you've been so nice.
Well, I think it's
yourself,
to the detriment of that movement that they would attack you, Desiree, one of the nicest people, you know what I'm saying? So that's the craziest part about it, and that's what happened to me too. I've never said anything anti-trans on this show. I said there are certain things that you have to do if you want to get respect and you want people to address you a certain way. That's not anti-trans. That goes for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's just it, though, is that even the definition of anti-trans just means different things to different people now, and it's being expanded to as if you don't believe every single thing, you're not all in 100% and you're anti-trans.
Well, so yeah, and that's the craziest. It happened to Craig. It's happened to me. It's happened to you. It's happened to, you know what I mean? Clearly, I'll just say this: I've had people I've worked with for 10 years drop me at a moment's notice because random people message them.
Crazy stuff.
Right.
Crazy stuff.
So, but you see, I think the most amazing thing about this is you see the response from people online, and you see a response like this, right? So this is A guy says a gorilla-shaped man on the verge of crying because Starfield lets you pick pronouns at the start of the game. Could you imagine? Just throwing this out. Could you imagine? I don't know who the Act Man is. I'm sure he's a pretty prominent YouTuber, right? Okay, $250,000, probably good, right? But could you imagine if somebody was like, if let's just say, pick any sort of woman that was Az's side, gorilla-shaped woman on the verge. Could you imagine the outrage, right? The amount of outrage that you would see from statements like that, poking and prodding at people's physical attributes, right, online. Well, this guy's fat, or he's an old. But I think the most amazing thing about it is
so hypocritical,
right? And the idea of people saying, "This is look at this grown man, look at this grown man crying." It's like all you motherfuckers on Twitter who are complaining about all this shit, you're grown ass people too. Right? You're grown-ass women. You're grown-ass men. You're all fucking hypocrites. And the idea of like, this is his job. Yes, he's a grown-ass man complaining about it. But the idea of just, well, it's a grown-ass man. Well, yeah, you're a grown-ass person on Twitter complaining about pronouns or complaining about how you don't get enough respect, or complaining about how you got cheaped on your Route 44 Sonic drink. You're always complaining about something. You're a grown-ass person complaining about that, right? So throw that bullshit out the window. You know, it's like literally his job.
I also guess why? Guess why those pronouns are there? Guess why that stuff is there? Because grown-ass men for the past decade have been crying about this. Projection of the highest order.
Well, and there's like I said, there's a way to go about it to include, if that is your ideology, to include it in a story in a thoughtful manner that does not force it upon people, and then they may learn something. I keep saying this: there's a way to change people's minds, and it's not to attack what they believe, right? It's to become their friend and slowly change your mind through discussion. You have to disagree to be able to change somebody's mind and have common arguments that aren't fights, right? And even fights are good as long as they're not like mean fights, you know. But you don't change somebody's mind from standing across the room yelling "horrible person."
Oh, listen, I'll tell you,
that does nothing.
I have so, like I said, I have so many. Well, I mean, I was calling so many little bitch ex-friends who have gone out of their way to virtue signal along the way, and they've caused way more division, way more hurt inside the gaming space than anything that I've ever done. Like all I've done is just ask questions and talked and try to have conversation. But and I think that's the most fascinating thing about like even this show. What was it? Last Friday we had that Vito guy on the show, right? And people were so pissed that I even wanted to have a conversation with that guy. Is he kind of scummy? Yeah. Has he had some really shitty jokes? Yeah. Do I agree with anything he says? Probably not. But the point is that you should be able to have those discussions. And there are people like I reached out to somebody privately that I used to work with, and I was like, "Hey, you want to come on Side Scrollers?" And by the way, we've had an ongoing text thread conversation, right? And we're an ongoing conversation. Hey, would you like to come on and talk about your time that we work together? Totally ghosted me, right? Because he's too much of a chicken shit to say, "Nah, man, I don't agree with what you say," or I'm scared. That's really what he wants to say. I'm scared, right? Because I don't want people to not like me. I don't, and that's really what it comes down to.
Or I'm scared to be character assassinated by the people who character assassinated you.
Right. And honestly, they can go fuck themselves. Like if you're too much of a chicken shit to see what's right and what's wrong, man, go fuck off. Like I don't have time for that anymore. I really don't. Like I got too many people in my life that I care deeply about that are affected by this stuff. So yeah, as Shifty Eyed Ninja says, a whole lot of cowards these days.
Yeah, man, the whole guilt by association thing is cringe.
Very crazy.
Yes, it drives me insane. Just because I can be friends with people who disagree with me, and to say that somehow because I'm their friend I agree with everything they say is just completely ridiculous. I grew up in a small town. I was gay. Everybody around me was straight and mostly Republican. I had to be friends with them, right? So what was I supposed to do? treat all of them as enemies and go around cussing them out and treat me with respect. Fuck you, fuck you. You know what that would have done for me? Made my life a living hell, and it would have made them hate gay people worse.
I think what gets me so upset is I hate to see all this division in the world. Just awful. I think the powers that be, this is exactly what they want, because a more divided world, it's good for the powers that be. They don't want us united, and it really makes the people in the entertainment industry like us really upset, because entertainment is what's supposed to bring people together. Music is what's supposed to bring people together. And I got so upset. I'm sorry not to turn it back to me, but what was so upsetting about the convention is I love playing music for people. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care. I just want to play music. I want to bond over the love for Eris's theme from Final Fantasy, And so it's like when you are now saying gatekeeping to that degree, and you're in games or whatever, it's you're taking something that should feel protected, this wonderful magical thing like music that exists, that can create this harmony with humans, and you're weaponizing it, and I just, it makes me really bad. And also, I don't think that a lot of people have the level of courage that probably the four of us, most people don't have it, the level of courage that the four of us have. And that is one thing that I've kind of recognized. I don't mean that to sound like self-important or obnoxious, but that is something that I have realized about myself the last several years, is that I think I have a higher amount of courage than the average person. But with that, I also feel like there's a duty, and I want people that do have that voice, that are okay, to speak up, because more people who really do struggle with that, and they might have other areas that they're way better in, and that's great. We all have our different strengths and weaknesses, but they need people who have voices to stand up and to go on shows and risk this sort of thing, because that's how this is going to change. That's how we get sanity back to the entertainment industry. Well, actually, I don't know. Entertainment industry has also been pretty messed up, but more sanity.
I like that you bring it back to you, because this is your perspective, and everybody here on this panel has had this happen to them. So yes, I think it's good that we all speak from our perspective, because we're all unique and individual, and we've all had it happen to us in one way or another.
Yes, we're either very courageous or very dumb. But yeah, I don't necessarily see it in my case personally. I don't necessarily see it as courage, because honestly, I'm more afraid of the alternative. I'm more afraid of what will happen to me, to my mental health, to my career, to the world, honestly, if I don't speak up. I'm terrified of that.
Of course.
I identify a lot with that too. And also, I told you before stream started, my mom is from Cuba. And so I grew up hearing how that country got completely just torn apart in a very short amount of time before Castro came to power. And I learned all about propaganda. I learned all about neighbors turning on other neighbors. I had a great uncle who was turned in by a neighbor of secret police because he gave him bananas from his own yard. And the neighbor said, those aren't your bananas. Those are the government's bananas. He got thrown in jail. So I grew up hearing this kind of stuff. So I will say that my experience of understanding just kind of human nature is probably been at a different level than your average American. And so I have also always had that fear in the back of my head too, which is a huge motivator for me too. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yep.
The one thing that has been consistent during this entire conversation are the people who are so vehemently passionate about making sure that you know how they identify or their pronouns, are the people who have had the least amount of hardship that you can possibly have in their entire life. They've been so coddled and so padded and just had soft pillows follow them around their entire life that they don't know what hardship is, to where they have to create hardship for themselves. And that's the saddest, most pathetic thing about it.
Well, the thing that bothers me, especially with your situation, Desiree, was music is a unifier, right? it can unify everybody, regardless of who you are, what your orientations are, what your sex is, where you're from. We can all enjoy music. And they use that to attack you, the thing you love, the thing you were going out to give to everybody, not a certain group. It was for everybody there. And the fact that they use that to attack you just really bothers me, because it shows to the levels that they'll go to.
Let's go to, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of super chats to read today. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about this. Desiree, would you like to play some just nice background music while I read some of these off? You said you just want to play piano. Do you just want to put some, just kind of riff a little bit while I read some of these?
I can, but I don't know how great, it seems like on the streaming, like the microphone kind of distorts a little bit, but I can play like really softly, but you tell me if it's too loud.
Okay. Sounds good. You do whatever you want.
What do you want? Zelda, Mario?
Dan?
Zelda would be nice.
Okay.
Hey, some Zelda would be cool. Yes.
All right, let's go. All right, while Desiree fires it up, I want to remind you guys can find her over on Kick and on YouTube, over on Kick at Lady Desiree. You guys can find her over there, and she will play songs for you. You just got to become a member over there. I think it's a great place to do it. So, all right, want to let you know that Lizzo's Fupa came in with a gifted membership. That's outstanding. And Fresh Pony also gifted a membership. That puts us at 13 for the day. We're trying to get to 20, so we're closing in right here. Hal says, just wondering if if the likes can go up. Yeah, look, if you guys are watching, hit the thumbs up button. We're closing in on 300. Thank you so much, Hal. Darian came in and says, it's the difference between a political point and propaganda. Thank you, Darian. Appreciate that. Sophia came in with a $19.99, no message at all. Just support. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And Dinner Mitts came in and says, genetically shed to be his daughter. Thank you, Dinner Mitts. And Kai Adi Mundi says, video games for everyone. People with mental illness need to stay inside gaming instead of outside firebombing police cars. Gamers rise up, babies sit down. Thank you, Kai. Matthew says, I think all this stuff will never leave our entertainment. It's time to create our own stuff. Also, Lies of Pi is coming out soon, and that looks way better. Dark Souls meets Pinocchio. Oh, interesting. I like it. Hayden came in with the 10. Says, they bash you over the head with it constantly. This was something like 12 hours into the game. We know what they're doing. Every main character in game is a girl boss. Few men, etc. Thank you, Hayden. My Texas brother. Capri Sun came in and says, have you seen the systems designer for Fallout 76? No. Travis, can you look up the system designer for Fallout 76, please?
Yeah, we do have 2 Rumble Rats in the private chat, the bottom 2.
We'll get those in just a second. King came in. It says, speaking of religions, what are your thoughts on ISOM trademark currently pending Volume 2 Yellow Flash? Do you like the Hell Monkeys? I don't know enough about the situation. We did a whole show about that, but make sure you guys go check that out. If you guys are new, once again, hit the subscribe button. Would really appreciate that. And you go watch the episode. I think that was about a week ago. Harry Otter Gaming says, Craig, you gave us third-party controls at iMog. Sorry about that, Harry Otter Gaming. I want to let you know that wasn't me. That was Chad James. And Caroline Von Cannon says, if you are not true to yourself, you're disingenuine. I only have to live with myself, so I have to be me. Caroline, thank you very much. Genuinely appreciate that. Kyle came in with the $4.99, says, I was raised to believe creation is the answer to the origins of life. I purposely put it in the X bio that I believe it, but trans tell me to get real. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate that. Hal came in with the $5 super chat. Says, apparently Steve Harwell, the lead singer of Smash Mouth, has just died of liver failure at age 56. Rest in peace. We're going to mention that a little bit later, but thank you very much. Winterfell says, Ackman got demonetized by YouTube, made an apology video, and got reinstated. Cash is king. There it is. Thanks, Winterfell. Almost done, Desiree. You're doing a great job. Devin came in with the $4.99. Says, Dan has always been unapologetically forward and honest in his opinions. This is why Dan can take fire, still keep and even build his audience. Let's go, Dan.
Just keep being an asshole and people will get used to it.
Hayden says, I love the authenticity in our circle of the internet. Yeah, Gonna keep it real, man. And give it up for Fresh Pony, who came in with the 5. Says, Craig, thank you for moderating a really great conversation. The pronoun issue is so much bigger. Rock on, Dan. Thank you, Fresh Pony. Really appreciate your support today. And Metastep came in as a brand new member. That puts us at 15, just 5 away from our goal of 30. Sal came in with the 2. Says, guys like Ackman and Hassan, America deserves 9/11. Pick Piker. Decide to grow a nutsack when it's easy. Socially expedite positions to take publicity. It's much harder to have a position that goes against it. Ackman and Hassan are hypocritical cowards. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Sal. NZZ gifted a membership to the channel, and CEO gifted 10 memberships. Puts us over our goal of 20 for the day. Let's go. Outstanding. Vio, our granny, came in with a $20 Rumble Rant. Says, thank you for discussion. At 71 years, I worry every day for grandchildren. Granny, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And we do too. I think about my kids all the time. Crypto came in with the $5 Rumble Rant. Says, rules for thee, but not for me. That is the story of modern society. If you don't have the right opinions, then you are attacked until you agree with them. Fight fire with fire. Diana says, if people cut you out of life for staying true to yourself, then feel blessed. Nobody is ever going to change me in believing that sterilization of children is okay. Shame on Biden helping do this. Thank you. Appreciate that. Henry Davis came in with the $50 direct donation. Says, piano alone deserves another. I have been a sucker for piano since I was a wee lad. Just listen to her play for just a second. Guys, head over and follow Lady Desiree over on Kick. Help her reach 600 followers. Amazing. Nice. Let's go.
Okay, I hope that wasn't too overpowering. I was trying to play quietly.
It's always a good morning to start off to you playing piano. I've watched it like 3 times in the morning. It's always very pleasant.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
And once again, go follow Lady Desiree over on Kick and on YouTube. If you guys are new, we're 35 subscribers away from 38,000 here on the channel. If you guys do enjoy the discussion, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button while you guys are tuning in. And Professor Savage Dad came in with the 5. Says, at Dan, has the PS2 gotten a release in Brazil yet?
Yes, next year. Looking forward to it.
Amazing.
Thanks for complimenting my Super Nintendo. Really proud of it. That is actually from my childhood. It's the box from my childhood that I saved.
Love it. All right. Well, look, we had a lot to talk about today. We went on an extended conversation, and we were going to get into this video game strike that could potentially happen, but I think we'll get into that tomorrow because we got lots to talk about there. And
can we do the 2 quick ones.
What's that?
The Burning Man one. Can we do that?
Well, sure. Do you guys want to stick around for about another 5 minutes and do this Burning Man thing?
If you got time,
Man.
sorry.
Oh, I'm fine.
I'm curious.
Okay.
It should be a fast one.
Dan, do you know what Burning Man is?
No, it's a man that burns.
No, it's a big music festival that takes place out in the middle of the desert.
Oh, I thought it was a story about some guy catching on fire.
No, there's a lot of crossover between Coachella people and Burning Man people. They're about the same kind of people.
So Burning Man is a big event that happens out in the middle of the desert in Nevada. And currently there's more than 70,000 people who are stuck out in the middle of the desert, and they apparently have been fenced in after rain hit. And I don't know, this is from CNN.com. More than 70,000 people, attendees, remain stuck in Nevada after rain. And there have been all sorts of reports that have happened because of this. There's been people who have
by the way, in the middle of the desert in Nevada at night gets down to 50, 48 degrees and it's wet.
Right. So here is kind of the current state. This is just from a little bit ago. You can see it's super wet. It's hard to get around. Everything's flooded. It's gross. People literally like can't get around because it's so muddy and gross and nasty, and people like they can't leave. So everything is just a mess. But there have been reports of, as with any situation like this, there have been reports of some other craziness going on. There's been talks of, it wouldn't be Twitter if you didn't hear stuff like this. Talks of people being quarantined because, and I don't even know how much how true this is, but there's a virus that apparently is broken out inside this camp.
Is it some like people, a sex virus or
well, apparently it has to do with some people are saying that it's the one that makes you bleed out your mouth. Ebola, yes. Ebola.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. So here's
I'll just say this. If you're around in a small area like that with 70,000 people, there's going to be some shit going around.
Right.
Literal shit, because it might be on the ground. Oh, but, yeah. At least I believe this to be a dry saltwater lake bed. So at least the water is clean because it'll be super briny, but still like.
Well, this was being passed around. And, this is there's 70,000 people. That's a small city, in one area.
Yeah,
so
that's bigger than the city I grew up in.
So check this out here.
Most of y'all have probably heard that Burning Man was declared a national emergency, but there's some pretty crazy stuff coming out. So it was announced earlier that Burning Man was declared a national emergency because it was flooded. And so they sent in FEMA, which already seemed kind of like a weird reason to send in FEMA and keep anyone from leaving the festival. 73,000 people they're keeping locked in there for flooding.
Well, now why are they locked in there?
Right.
That's the
terrifying information coming out that there's a virus on the loose in the festival and that people are getting really sick with boils, vomiting, hemorrhaging. To me, this makes way more sense than flooding in terms of what their response was to the situation. This is a text from one of the festival goers, and he said, "Yo, just figured you should hear from me first. Daryl is crazy sick with something that has him coughing up really coagulated blood. Medic showed up wearing a full suit. No idea where he is now. I would stay inside your camper." And he goes on to say that an outside agency is putting up a fence. This is a different festival goer that said, "You're never going to fucking believe it. They're saying it's Ebola." Freaking Ebola at Burning Man, guys. If this is true, that is insane.
Okay, so that's the one thing that you see. And this apparently has been debunked. This is from another account. But we've all been in a situation where word travels incredibly fast. And it's like, Joe has Ebola and he's coughing up blood and he's got blood coming out of his orifices and stuff like that. And then the telephone game happens and it gets passed around and all of a sudden there's panic and chaos and people trying to leave and blah, blah, blah. Here's a lady.
If you think about this though, so in the desert, it never rains there. So all those pesticides and all that shit and all the chemicals, it sits on the ground and then it rains and it pulls it back up into that water and sits there. So no wonder people are getting boils or getting chemical burns.
Well, here's a lady who probably complains about things on Twitter about cultural. Oh, what happened? Did I just lose me? Are you guys there?
There's a lady.
Oh,
that was my fault. I misclicked.
What the hell was that, Trav?
I wanted to look at your beautiful face.
Too much me. Here's a lady who probably complains about cultural appropriation on Twitter while still having dreadlocks. And she pretty much says that everything's okay.
Okay, could you please stop? Could you guys stop with all of this nonsense? I am here on the playa at my hospital and everybody's okay. There is no Ebola. Someone said somebody tested positive for Ebola. We don't even have the capability to run a CBC. You think we're going to do Ebola, which is probably some sort of send out? No, FEMA's not here. Ebola's not here. We are all having a good time. And in fact, the man that you see right out there is burning tonight at 9:30.
They actually burn like a big straw guy, which is why it's called, whatever. Anyways,
right.
This is just another example of like an event that's gone really bad. What was that big event?
Fyre Fest?
Yeah, Fyre Fest.
Yeah.
Do you know they're bringing it back?
Well, you know what? It's got so much notoriety by the name that I think so many people know about it. It's marketing genius. People will go just to see if it's another thing because then they got all this content. If it ends up shitty again, look, everything's shitty. I'll film it all and post it to my shit.
Well,
it's genius.
Desiree, did you know about the? We're pivoting to Fyre Festival. Did you know about this Fyre Festival thing?
No, I don't know about Fyre Fest.
So, Fyre Festival was this thing probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago that was promoted really heavily on social media. It had all these like amazing, they got all these Instagram models to post about Fyre Festival. And it was this idea that we're going to go to this private island and have this big party.
Let me clarify that though. The models were not going to actually be at Fyre Fest. They rented a private condo for them like 5 miles away that they were all going to be at. So just keep that in mind.
But the idea was that it was going to be this hyper exclusive event, and it turned out to just be a logistical failure, so much to the point to where the guy who planned it went to jail for several years because it was for fraud, because it was such a mess. Anyways, he came out of jail in the last few months and immediately was like, I'm doing Fyre Festival too. And
I'm telling you, this is marketing fucking genius.
Well, guess
He's gonna
what?
Sell out.
Guess what? It's already been announced that it's coming back, and and it's already sold out. They've already sold out the first 100 tickets or so to this thing. It's a joke.
Now wait until they start selling the $5,000 tickets like they did last time. I think the tickets went up to like 15 grand last time.
Where is it going to be? What island?
The Bahamas.
Well, and the original story, he was going for Pablo Escobar's island. And it was supposedly his private island and all that, when in reality it wasn't. His island was like 6 islands over and shit. And then there was like this development there, like they were building like apartments, right? So it was a big construction zone and shit, and it was just a mess.
The whole thing is just amazing. But
so
anyways,
just out of curiosity, what is the time interval between the first video and the second one coming out?
The first Fyre Fest video, or
no,
Burning
with the
Man?
chick saying
Burning
that there's Ebola,
right.
Burning Man.
Yeah, it was about a day. About a day.
Oh, that's interesting.
It dried up pretty quick there, then, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's interesting how easy it is to rile people up, and then and then undo it.
Yeah.
Listen.
Well, and look, that's like I said, I believe it's like a dead lake bed, so it's salt on the bottom. So you could get chemical burns from just super salty water. So I'm sure a couple of people got some boils or a rash or something, and somebody, it's Ebola. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's Dan. To your point, the idea, if there's one thing we've learned over the last 3 years, it's how easy it is to get people riled up. Right?
Yeah.
Like that is the one thing that we've seen is groupthink. So
and then rile them up exactly in the opposite direction in a few days later. You know, I remember our friend Pro Jared.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about his penis came out.
Yes.
So people were like, everyone hates Pro Jared. Everyone hates Pro Jared. Then a few days later, he came out with his version. Now everybody loves Pro Jared. That was
and
it's a giant psyop. This is a giant psyop right here.
Funny enough, it's like the real story is like right in between. I know people who
I don't know.
Besides Craig, I know other people who know him and know the people who he was speaking to and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
I have no horse in the race. I'm just commenting on the social aspect of it. That the social phenomena that's super interesting to me.
Yeah,
it's like,
but as all things, the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? From his perspective, he did nothing wrong. From their perspective, he's an evil predator. Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
I think it speaks to what Craig said earlier about just that there's not enough struggle for people. Or I think I'm pretty sure
Makes sense.
Or maybe that's just where my head went. But like,
no, yeah.
So much I have so much to go on to do in my day. Like I can't live on my phone and be riled up about every little thing, but there are a lot of people who really don't have a lot to do. and they're bored and they don't have struggle. And so what do? They find controversy where there really is none, and it's, ugh, like I'm over it. I mean, isn't the world getting sick of this? Because I'm so sick of this.
Isn't it also like some form of narcissism? Like, you need to save the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to immediately take action to save the world because your opinion is so important and so valid. It's one thing to go out and state your opinion. It's another to demand people take action afterwards.
It's just amazing. Just amazing to see, yes, the level of hypocrisy attached to, like, I like to point out that we're the normal ones.
Yeah.
And like that, I think that's the crazy thing about it. Like,
to go back what we were all talking about earlier about the standards these people set and when they cancel people, and I've said this about a few people and I won't say their names, they are setting themselves up for failure because they make these standards that everybody else has to live by, and someday they're going to take a step over their own line they set for somebody else they canceled them for, and then their career is going to nosedive because the one thing internet doesn't like is hypocrites.
Yeah, cultivating that sort of audience that will cancel you and pandering to them is like having a tiger as a pet.
Yes, wait
one
until
day
he attacks you while you're sleeping.
Yes, one day something will go very wrong.
Let's go to wrap it there. That's a good way to wrap it, Dan. I appreciate you. Look, I need everyone,
Likewise.
Literally everybody in the chat. If you guys have Kick, go over to Kick, follow at Lady Desiree over there. We're gonna get her to 600. I need 12 of you guys to go over there and follow Lady Desiree to get that 600 mark right over there. That'd be outstanding. I really appreciate you guys popping in. I appreciate you guys being able to have this conversation. I think it says a lot about you guys because most people aren't brave enough to actually talk about this stuff. And I think it's important that we do have these conversations, whether people agree with it or not. The point is that we're having these conversations. And if you don't agree with those conversations, I encourage you to come on to talk about why you don't agree about these conversations. Why we shouldn't have these conversations. I think it's really important that we talk about these things and conversation is had, because at the end of the day, that is the bedrock of everything that happens. So, so do us a favor, hit the subscribe button over here on the Side Scrollers podcast channel. We'll be live over on the @Side Scrollers Plays channel over on YouTube very shortly. I'm going to be playing some Mario here in a little bit. Go subscribe to Dan Vask over on YouTube.
Thank you.
And your gameplay channel, right?
Yeah, Super Vask 3D on YouTube.
There you go. Love it.
I'll be doing a stream. I need to figure out the logistics for this, but soon I'll be making a stream using as a webcam a Game Boy camera.
Let's go.
That's
try
cool.
this.
Sounds fun.
Yes.
I'm going to be streaming tonight at 9 as well on Twitch.
Okay. Sounds great.
Cool.
Love it. Love it. You're on the road to affiliate, huh?
Yes, I am.
Good.
Awesome.
Go get that.
Just need hours. So
hours. Get those hours. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Really fun conversation. We look forward to seeing you guys a little bit on the Side Scrollers Plays channel and tomorrow for Side Scrollers at 11 a.m. Central Time for just good old fashioned conversation. That's what we do here. So you guys have a great day. Remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. Oh shoot! I forgot the memes. Crap.
The memes.
Hold on.
yeah, they're in the private chat.
I got them. Got them. Hold on. Here we go. Got it.
Let's go.
Damn it. I forgot. This one from Cloud says Craig proves to Dan that he is the true agent of chaos. Here we go. Oh, man. Hoops and basketball. Cross them up.
What?
Get wrecked. Get wrecked.
Why am the fat one?
Then we got this one coming in from Cloud again. Says Nostradamus gives us his predictions.
I love these fucking memes, man.
They're great, man.
Tell us, Nostradamus, what do you see in the future? I see a great revolution in France. Oh. I see people flying through the sky in airplanes. Oh.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
But seriously, write that prediction down.
Write it down.
Mod will show up in Nexus mods fixing the Starfield woke stuff, and they will be banned.
All right, let's get out of here, guys. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. See you guys tomorrow for Side Scrollers here on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. See you guys. Bye-bye.